to tell you the truth, there's so much going on as I'm doing this game. I'm not sure who did good or who didn't. But it was a great day for us to have this many situations, game-ending scenarios, just to get our brains working, because the whole season is going to be this kind of operation. I know.
And welcome everybody to the glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, and as always, I am podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSP, my Twitter handles. Check me out there. The Raiders are a topic of discussion here, and I just want to talk about Geno Smith. This is a short one. Hopefully, we get Ryan back and we'll do a longer form video for you. But the question is, can Geno perform in the red zone? And even during camp right now, people are saying, in the reports from camp, where people who cover the team who are there every day are saying, hey, like he's still a work in progress in the red zone. We saw in the mock game they just had, he was able to throw a back shoulder pass to Brock Bowers for a touchdown. I think he threw another touchdown to Thornton in that game as well on a kind of a broken play. Probably would have got sacked on that play, whatever, in a real game. But we gotta sit back and think about, like, can he perform, or can he perform? Because it's hard to make, the Raiders can get some big plays in this offense. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind they can get some big plays in this offense, but big plays don't necessarily lend itself to touchdowns. You get a 45-yard play, but then then all of a sudden you gotta, somebody pushes you out of bounds, and then boom, you gotta sit there and think about what you're gonna do as far as scoring points once the team gets in the red zone. Teams really get stingy. Even bad teams get stingy in the red zone, and it's very hard to score in the red zone. That's why some of the teams who are the highest scoring teams in the league, they do whatever they can to score, to be proficient in the red zone, and find ways to do it. Now, do the Raiders have talent in the red zone? Yeah. Do they have people like they got people like Jacoby Myers? You got the two tight ends with Mayer. With Mayer and Brock Bowers, Aston Genty, can they run the ball in the red zone? Are people going to try to gang up on the run as well? Can they isolate Genty on a linebacker for some big plays as well? So there's going to be there are things there that you have to look at too as well. And I'm just, I think that's the biggest thing in this offense is, we talked about, can they block it up front? We don't know that yet. And then when you do get stopped, you drive down the field and you get, you're in the 20-yard line, the 15-yard line, and you're on the road at that New England or at whoever they're at, Philadelphia or whoever they're playing. Can they walk away from that with touchdowns? I mean, those are the biggest things. I know Carlson can kick. I know Carlson can kick bombs from God knows where. I got all the faith in the world in the kicking game. The game is on the line. I would have no problem with Carlson coming up. If that was the case, if we need to be in that situation, but the margins with this team are going to be really thin, because I don't know what you're expecting from this defense this year, Raider Nation. I'm not expecting the defense to be great. If they could just be 20th in the league, that would be incredible, considering the talent they have on this team. That'd be nuts. If they could be 20, that would be absolutely, and that you'd write home for that. You'd place that bet in Vegas, and no question about it. But when you look at, can they score in the red zone? Because I don't think they're going to be a good defensive team. Have flashes, but not be a really good defensive team. I think they desperately are going to need to have, scoring in the red zone be a part of what they do. because we talked about this before. Three of the top 10 defensive units in all of football reside in the AFC West. The Broncos are going to be a top 10 defense. The Chiefs be a top 10 defense. And the Chargers are going to be a top 10 defense. So the Raiders offense against those defenses, I mean, if the Raiders can go 2-2-4 in the division, they go 3-3 in the division, that would be a huge, absolutely huge step forward for this team. You could almost say they'd be back on the map. And they would probably be able to reach that number. I think right now they're 7 or 6.5 that in Vegas right now. I think they could probably reach that number if they were able to beat those teams. But it starts with the quarterback, starts with the Chip Kelly offense, and it starts with their ability to score in the red zone. Like it's just it. I mean, it's it. The windows get tighter. They know the defense knows that they don't have to defend the entire field. They could be aggressive. A lot of plays in there, a lot of defensive plays in there to kind of trick you into coverage. Man on one side, zone on the other side. All those different things that happen. I mean, it's going to be tough, and they don't have, even if you're the biggest Raider fan, like they don't have that overpowering offensive line where they can just go overpower somebody to give it to Genty and or just like have Geno be back there for over 3 seconds, just patting the baby, burping the baby, and throwing passes down the field. Now he's not a statue back there, so that'd be something new for Raider fans too. It's like he's not a statue back there. You can run the football, and run for a first down and keep the chains moving with a Geno Smith, opposed to Aiden O'Connell and guys who they've had in the past. But I think the biggest thing, and I think that's going to be his decision making in the red zone is the season for the Raiders. It just is. It just is. I know. I mean, I remember talking about I can't remember his name now. The former head coach for the Raiders who was a play caller, and he said, one of his big things was, let's just score before we even get to the red zone. He would attack the end zone from the 35, 40-yard line, and just try to do it there, because that was probably the best. That was the best opportunity you had to score, for the Raiders when he was the head coach. I mean, that is really. I mean, that's a big thing for the Raiders this year, because if they can't score, you can forget about it. I couldn't remember Hugh Jackson's name, but Hugh Jackson was the guy. And Hugh Jackson is also a guy who scored a whole lot of points when he was with the Raiders in those 2 years. 1 year under Tom Cable, and 1 year when he went 8-8 himself. So that would be, I think the first 4 to 5 weeks, I think Chip Kelly's going to have teams on their heels. But just like Shanahan, just like McVay, just like some of these all LaFleur, some of these great play callers, when they call that play where it is completely wide open, it's going to be imperative that they hit that play, because the margins are so slim for the Raiders to win games, because we don't know what we're going to have defensively. We just don't know. And we don't know if we're going to stop the run. Stopping the run is going to be gigantic for this team. And wherever he's gone, Patrick Graham, they have not stopped the run. You just have to be honest with that part of it. So the whole success is the red zone offense, and we'll see what happens with the red zone offense coming forward. Going forward, Lonnie Johnson got hurt in that game, unfortunately. And you look at the depth chart. I mean, you might say, okay, he's a backup, but then you don't want to dip. You don't want to keep dipping into that. He was right now. He was the backup for Jeremy Chin. It wasn't like they lost Jeremy Chin. If they ever lost Jeremy Chin, then basically the secondary is over for this year. And you don't want to use Jamal Adams as far as in coverage. You want to use Jamal Adams in a situation um a guy who is going after the quarterback, making plays behind the line of scrimmage, crashing down on run plays. That's what you want to use him as for. You don't want to use him for anything else. As far as being in coverage and doing things like that Jeremy Chin can do. So he's not really a guy who would be a replacement as well too. So we'll take it from there. So a lot going on with the Raiders and a lot going on in this training camp. We'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. I'm gonna try to hit you guys. Gonna try to hit you up with a show every day. This week, talking about the Raiders and their training camp this year. And like I said, this is gonna be this is a reason to be optimistic for a lot of Raider fans because it's gonna look different. They should be different. They should be better offensively. And that's where this team has to start is just be better offensively and score some points. And that will take care of itself. All right, peace, Raider Nation. Take care.